Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Inman Instudio. I'm Lauren Walker. I'm Senior Director of Strategy here. And today I'm happy to introduce you to Lou Mincer from Homesnape. Lou, you are here to talk about something that our audience is curious about, and I think they have a passing familiarity with, but we want to open up that door for them to really understand automation. So thank you for being here.
Lauren, thanks so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I think these are great conversations for us to have, especially right now in October. You know, agents are having a chance to kind of revisit and reevaluate and make a plan for 2021. And that plan might include adding technology, taking technology away, figuring out what are those some ways that I can be more successful in 2021 and some smart ways that I can shape my business.
Totally. Let me first introduce myself quickly. So
Please.
my name is Lou Mincer. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Homesnap. And what that means is I'm lucky enough to get to work with the engineering team and the design and product team at Homesnap to build Homesnap. So that includes the consumer portal, the broker public portal, Homesnap Pro, where we bundle a whole bunch of agent productivity tools, as well as Homesnap Pro ads and Homesnap Pro Plus. And I want to bring that up front because I have been spending the better part of the last 10 years trying to understand the job map of a real estate agent and
Yes.
then figuring out which parts of those can in fact be automated versus which parts do the agent really need to focus and specialize on.
Thank you for that. And I feel like that's a great distinction to make because often we have experts here who are coming from a real estate background, right? And they're speaking from their experience in the field, selling, helping to sell and buy real estate. You're coming at it from a systems point of view. Like me, I'm an industry outsider. I've never bought or sold real estate. I've never been a real estate professional, but I have worked in and around it for, again, upwards of 10 years. So I think your expertise is really unique and valuable here because you've seen and tested the product. You've had your hand on every aspect of it, really.
I've learned a lot over the last 10 years, and we actually do operate a fairly sophisticated product research department within the
Mhm.
company, and that gives me the opportunity to talk to a lot of real estate agents, both one-to-one, belly-to-belly, as well as through survey and NPS score, and also just watching what agents do. There's about 1 million agents that have access to HomeSnap Pro, the paid subscription, via their MLS,
Mhm.
and hundreds of thousands of agents use HomeSnap each month. And in fact, on average, agents use the app 30 times per month, and they do a lot of stuff. And that looking glass is an amazing source of data to understand what they're doing, how they're saving time, what shortcuts they're doing to deliver top-notch customer service. And then, in fact, we turn that into a feedback loop to make the app even better to help them do their
Sure.
job.
Sure. So it's driven by real world activity. It's outside in, essentially.
I always trust what people say, but I especially trust what people do.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into that. Let's look at what agents can do and what you've seen agents do as far as what they can separate into these two buckets of automation, not automation. Automate the stuff that you don't want to do and focus on the stuff that you love to do. So let's start at the beginning. Agents always want to start new leads. What can they do to automate that process for their business?
You know what's so interesting about the job map of a real estate agent? When I use the term job map, I just mean what real estate agents do when they
Yes.
wake up in the morning is that their job is very unstructured and nonlinear.
Mhm.
And so it's the opposite of working on an assembly line where you do a certain procedure in the certain order at the
Yep.
certain time, right? The agent is a self starter, it is an entrepreneur, it is a business owner who needs to wake up, look at their time, and set their goals and pick their activities wisely so
Mm.
that they can produce the returns that they desire, right? And so I actually look at the job map of a real estate agent in two buckets. The first bucket is running your business,
Yes.
right? And that entails everything that is required to help your clients find, buy, close, sell on their next home, right?
Mhm.
And that involves communicating, contacting, messaging, transference of documents, negotiation, paperwork,
Yes.
offers, sitting in an open house, hiring a photographer, entering the information into the MLS listing input system, etc. There is an incredible amount of work that has to happen in that conducting existing business bucket. Well, the second bucket is winning new business, right?
Yeah.
I think that usually it's about 50% of a real estate agent's time is spent on winning new business, right? They have a
Mhm.
classic needle in the haystack problem.
Right.
At any given time, only about 1% of US adults are ready to buy, sell, rent, or transact, right? And so that's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah.
How do you dig in and find that one person? And so you've kind of started here in the win new business
Right.
bucket, right? With a lead. A lead has arrived, right? And so there's a lot of ways to get leads, right? The broker public portal, Homesnape, it sends out, your listing, your lead. If it's your listing, we'll send the lead right back to you. You could advertise on Facebook or
Mhm.
Instagram or Google or Zillow or Realtor or Homesnap. Opportunities to generate leads abound, right? The big difference maker is what you do when the lead shows up, right?
Yes.
And so there's a bunch of things that you can do. I've seen that the best agents have systems to help them ingest their lead, set them up in the CRM, and then get a quick response. Now,
Yes.
the best response would come straight from a human, but increasingly, the primary preferred channel of response is through text, through SMS. And so that actually opens the window to have an automated text-based response, right?
Mm.
And so that would be my first recommendation is if you're getting leads, have a system set up. Homesnap supports this. Many other systems do too, where the lead can be ingested. You follow up immediately with a text message, right? And
Yes.
that text message may just be designed to ask them how they want to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
I received your lead. Thanks so much. Would you prefer me to give you a call or do you just want to handle this over text, right? Let's do this on their terms.
Yes.
From there, you'd want to move into qualification questions, right?
Right.
Are you looking to buy or rent? Are you looking to buy or sell? Are you already pre-qualified for a loan? Are you already working with another real estate agent? Have you already zoomed in on an area or price range, right? You need to both simultaneously build rapport
Yeah.
and pre-qualify, right? Once you get good at generating leads, you're going to generate a lot of leads.
Right.
And
Right.
it becomes important to have these systems to automate so that you can separate the wheat from the chaff, right? Because if you spend all day working on chaff, that's not very productive, right? And so the goal is to separate that wheat and then spend all your time cultivating and growing the wheat, right? And
Yes.
that kind of leads into a part that cannot be automated, which is client service.
Yes.
Ultimately, it is impossible, even with the best machine learning algorithms at Homesnap or at Zillow or at Realtor or Google or Facebook, to legitimately qualify a lead via text message.
Mm.
Not possible to do in an automated fashion. A human being is required. And so that's the time to differentiate oneself, right? And so
Yeah.
in an ideal world, you've got dozens, hundreds of leads coming in on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, using automated systems to separate the good from the bad.
Right.
And then
Right.
you're spending half of your day, right? 50% of your day trying to get those pre-qualified leads over the goal line,
Yes.
right? You're trying to get them to set an appointment. You're trying to have an online consultation, do a virtual tour, have a FaceTime, right? And then you need to take it from there. And then ultimately that kind of bleeds into the first bucket that I had identified,
Yeah.
which is running your business, right? And there's a bunch of good tools out there that can help you run your business as well. Maybe we'll talk about one or two of them.
Yeah, so what talk about that, once you've converted them, okay? Say you've gone through that automation, you've warmed them up, you've been able to get them to reach out, say, "Yes, I want to work with you." Let's kind of separate that client into that buyer versus that listing, that seller client. How can automation come into play? Where should they focus their efforts on buyer versus seller?
Sure. Let's start with on the buy side.
Yeah.
So, right on the buy side, you want to get your buyer pre-qualified for a loan. That may mean introducing them to a trusted provider that you already work with, or providing them with a menu of trusted lenders. Um, you want to have a really good understanding of where they seek to buy, right?
Mhm.
That is the um, that is the both location and price, right? As well as the basics, beds, bath. You want to get them set up on an automated drip campaign, right? Homesnap does this automatically when you invite a client to connect with you. We start sending them a weekly update that hones in on where they're searching and what listings they're looking at, and automatically uses machine learning to kind of serve those up to the consumer. But many MLS systems offer Sage searches to be set up on behalf of a client.
Mhm.
We actually partner with Black Knight and CoreLogic to also pull that back into Homesnap so you can manage them there as well, right? And then in the world of COVID, right, and social distancing, it's
Mhm.
not like it used to be, right? And so it's now become more digital, right? And so that might mean virtual showings, using tools like Zoom or FaceTime to be in a house, so showing a consumer around when they're not actually present. Um, but what you want to do is bring them down the consideration funnel
Yeah.
from I'm considering buying to I've looked at some homes to I found one that puts a twinkle in my eye to I'm ready to make an offer, right? And then when you're ready to make an offer, that's where you actually start needing to leverage automation again, right? Because there's many great tools that can help you create a CMA, right?
Right.
Snap Rapid CMA, Cloud CMA, there's many others, right? All of these tools, though, they really need the expertise of an agent to produce the best results.
Yes.
And then there's also machine learning models to help you set the appropriate price, right? And so Homesnap has the sell speed calculation that lets you understand the relationship between list price and the amount of time that it may take a home to sell. Um, and having that conversation, both on the buy side and the sell side about what the price means, and whether that's going to move, whether that's going to have multiple offers, or whether that's going to languish. Ultimately, uh, you know only a really good real estate agent can can get somebody in front of the home that they want to buy at the right price, and give them the stiff backbone that you need to write that good faith check, or the down payment check that's required to take the next step in the transaction.
Sure.
Now on the sell side, it's a different story, right?
Yeah.
On the sell side, it often starts in the living room. Increasingly you find yourself doing that living room presentation online and in competition against other
Yeah.
agents. And so that's really your chance to come to the table and put on a good show, right?
Yes.
And so that means entering the living room, the virtual living room, as it were,
Mm.
with comps, right? And so some version of a CMA that shows both active, under contract, and sold homes. Um, that comes with a digital marketing plan, right?
Mhm.
Sellers expect their real estate agent to have a digital marketing plan, right?
Absolutely.
And a platform like Zillow Premier Agent doesn't quite offer agents the ability to advertise listings per se, but there are just fantastic platforms now where people spend a ton of time, Facebook and Instagram and Google and Waze and YouTube and others, that are fantastic for advertising listings, right? And so the best agents go into that living room and they say, I always advertise my listings on Facebook, on Instagram, on Waze to catch nearby drivers. And the best part is, I will let you know how that's performing. I will show you how many views it's generating, how many clicks it's generating, and how many leads it's generating, because increasingly we're dealing with a sophisticated home selling clientele who expects this,
Yes.
right? And so the agents who are winning those listing presentations come in with a fully formed marketing playbook, right? And at that point, they actually become the digital marketing expert, which is so interesting, right? Because in a world where we're all moving to, be virtual and be digital, the real estate agent is now becoming the digital marketing expert
True.
in the marketplace. And so the power has shifted from the platform to the agent over the time, I think, in a very interesting way that truly lets agents differentiate themselves.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And one thing that you hit on, Lou, that I'd love to talk a little bit more about is the idea of the communication channel, because I feel like there's so many different ways to share information with your client that it gets confusing. And are there opportunities there for agents to differentiate and also streamline when it comes to the communication with their client?
Great question. My advice would be do your best to communicate on your client's terms.
Mm,
If you force the client to communicate on your terms, some of them are going to fall out of your funnel,
yeah.
right? Some people will only work by phone because they're very, very comfortable
Yes.
doing that. And in that case, you got to pick up the phone, talk to them, because that's what they need. That's the client
Mhm.
level of client service that they expect. Increasingly, I think what you'll find if you loyally ask every agent how they would prefer to communicate, about 80 to 85% will prefer text message,
Yes.
which A is great because it lets you pre-qualify using automated tools. But B is it's a big time saver, right? You can
Mm.
get down to brass tacks a lot quicker in 140 character, tweets, than you can with a verbose phone conversation.
Yeah.
And so it's also a curse, though, right?
Yes.
The whole thing cannot happen over text message. And so you, the agent, needs to know and to really get the sixth sense for when it's time to pick up the phone,
Yeah.
and when you need to turn kind of the text message into a phone conversation, and then when you need to turn the phone conversation into an in real life interaction.
Absolutely. And even when you're sharing listing information, I mean, as a homeowner myself, I've been on the receiving end of those emails, and sometimes some experiences are better than others.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, ultimately, and I think most agents understand this, that home shoppers are shopping for a home, not an agent per se, right? The savvy shoppers will actually conduct kind of a small search for an agent,
Hmm.
but it's usually limited in scope. It's highly referral driven, and it tends to be the first agent that they contact, whether through digital ad or happenstance, will become their agent per se. Um, so what you want to do is put listings in front of them, right? And so there's a bunch of different ways to do that. You could send them a CMA, you could send them a saved search, you could set them up on a saved search, you can add them to a weekly email, add them as a client. There's a bunch of prop tech software that lets you run drip campaigns or similar. Like, the key is pretty simple. You got to put listings in front of them and then wean down your search criteria from wide to
Yes.
very, very specific
Yes.
over a short amount of time as you can, so that you can start setting appointments, right? And going to see homes, whether kind of by yourself virtually or with them by your side in a mask.
Yes. Yes. So once you've guided your client through the transaction successfully, you have this person that you have a relationship with, and you have choices of how to treat that person once the transaction has closed. Can you talk a little bit about the options available there?
It's a good question, right? Um, so what's interesting is that when the house closes, most of the obvious value has been realized, right? The closing costs have been paid, the commissions have been paid and divvied up and handed out, right? And so at first blush, it looks like time to move on with
Yep.
life and go back to the haystack and find my next needle, right?
Yes.
But I want to loop back to what I said earlier, which is this is a referral based business. It is a person to person based business. And it is really just one big network. And
Hmm.
it is a network made of real estate agents and title companies and loan officers and moving companies and home services companies. And what you want to do is feed that network so that network can feed you, right? And what that means is providing your clientele, usually honestly, it means providing them with a list of trusted providers for them to work with.
Hmm.
A loan officer who they may refi with, a carpet cleaner who gets the stain out every time, right? A landscape company who's punctual and affordable, right? And you want to pay it forward to
Yes.
the rest of the network and stay in touch with them as a value added service. And if you build up those relationships over time, eventually you will find the leads start and referrals start flowing in the opposite direction as well.
Yes.
That's to build your own business. And then also, of course, it's obvious, but I just want to state it, is you've got to keep in touch with that customer
Yes.
specifically so that when they are ready to buy, sell, move, transact again, they pick up the phone and call you, right? And so there's many tactics to do this, right? From the housewarming gift, but my personal favorite is, do you ever use the app Time Hop, where you open it and
Yes.
it shows you the photos that you saw or took exactly 1 year ago or 2 years ago
Sure.
or 3 years ago? That day, the anniversary date of a
Mhm.
closing, that's the day to get in touch with a former client. And it doesn't have to be long. It can be like a 2-second email. You know what? I woke up this morning and I was just thinking about you. It was 2 years ago exactly today that you closed on that beautiful house on Cherry Street. I
Mhm.
hope all is well, Lauren.
Yeah. And that's again where you can think about automation tools. That's it's a very genuine touch. It's a very, authentic touch, but it can be automated.
Totally. It totally can, right? Any CRM can put
Yeah.
together a template with an automatic task creation and email send.
Yeah, and I think that the trick is, as we talked about before, is just finding that balance of what gets automated so you can focus on those high value, high touch situations where you're taking care of your client, you're delivering excellent service because these are the activities that are happening behind the scene without you having to manually do them every day.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, I think that's the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
The agent should spend maximum amount of time on the human interaction,
Yes.
right? People need to feel like they have a sense of what's happening and why and what's going to happen next. And the real estate agent is the expert who's been through this before, who should be able to provide the steady hand in what often feels confusing and stressful to the client, right? As the home search goes left or right and the
Hmm.
negotiation
Hmm.
goes up or down, right? And so it's really that steady hand of customer service and support and professionalism that just can never be automated. And I think that is, proven in multiple ways. Number one, the real estate industry is and real estate agents have withstood the test of time.
Yes.
They're not going anywhere. We've built our entire business at Homesnap around the real estate agent. We are only successful if real estate agents are successful.
Sure.
And I think increasingly you're seeing as the cards are turned over with all of these, iBuyer companies that they've realized it too.
Yeah.
And that's why you see all of them hiring real estate agents either as partners or full-time employees. And that, while scary, is another testament to the importance and longevity of the personalized services that real estate agents provide.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think my big takeaway from today, Lou, has been feed your network so they feed you. I love that. And to, just be on constant alert for those activities that enforce your role in the relationship, being that trusted advisor, that steady hand, and look to automation to help you do that, in new ways.
Thanks, Lauren. It was really great talking to you today. And to your audience, I hope you have a chance to check out Homesnap and Homesnap Pro, and I hope that it can help you automate kind of the productivity parts of your job as well as the finding and winning new business parts of your job. My team has been working awfully long and awfully hard trying to put a solution on your phone that will help you do just that. And
Yeah.
so I hope you get everything out of it, and I'd love to hear your feedback. And so feel free to pass it along.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Lou.
Thanks, Lauren. It was great talking to you today. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.